It's that time of the week again, the Gift of Gaming podcast. And this week we're talking about video game subcultures. And I don't even know what that is. Take it away, intro. All right, it's me as your host, Darren Wade. And today I'm joined by the all-reliables, Mr. Xbox Games Pass himself, Luke Maycock.
What up, what up?
And the PC playing console hating Mr. Canadian himself, Chris Robbins. Chris.
My name gets longer and longer every time I come on the show.
Every episode I'm going to come up with a new little title to put in front of it. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Good.
Great. Yeah.
Good.
I can't believe I just did the podcast What Up, What Up as my intro. I died a little inside when that came out of my mouth.
It's official. It's a real podcast now.
It's a real podcast. We're in there.
So you guys been, what have you been up to? Been playing anything nice? Do anything nice recently?
Yeah, I mean, my whole library kind of got shifted around because a little while back, I actually got banned from Apex.
Yeah. It was a bad language, Chris.
Yeah, it was bad language.
Yeah.
No, I got flagged for what they thought was cheating, but I was only playing on Linux, and it just like the EAC system flagged me as like running some sort of shady software.
You were running a shady
all
software.
Linux people are bad people.
Chris, you were running Linux.
Yeah, fair enough.
Arch Linux,
yeah,
right?
but I ended up putting in 2 appeals, and both times they got denied, stating that like, yeah, we did it was just an automated message, and it was like, we did a thorough investigation of your account, and we have confirmed that you are in fact a cheater. And I was like, after the second one, I was like, fuck's sakes, I don't care anymore. But
so are your Apex playing days over?
No, so somebody else, instead of opening an appeal, just went straight to the forums and like listen, me and my friend just got banned for playing on Linux, and that just opened the floodgates. Like hundreds of people kind of went there and upvoted it and commented the same. And then a couple days later, I got a message. He was like, "Oh, we reverted your ban." I was like, "Oh, so."
So not only did you get your ban back, you're internet famous now too.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But like the thorough investigation is what threw me, because they're like literally calling me a liar.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then a couple of days later, they're like, "Yeah, a thorough investigation was,
it was actually nothing." I was thinking about hitting them with GDPR and just like, you know what? Give me every bit of data you have on me. I'll do this investigation myself. But because of that, I decided to bite the bullet and do a dual boot and get a Windows installation for those kind of games.
Welcome to the modern age.
Yep. Modern age, man. But that opened up a couple more doors, which is Halo Infinite. Been playing a fair amount of that.
Nice.
And a ton of Dead by Daylight.
Nice.
Absolutely love that
What's
game.
your impression of Halo? Is Halo Infinite the newest one?
Yeah.
Yep.
What's your impression?
Yeah. I mean, you get to do big team battles, drive around in a Warthog, and shoot people. And I prefer that kind of run and gun, like arena shooter, to Apex, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, instead of like a battle royale, you prefer like, because I used to think that a lot. That's why I used to love Call of Duty, was because their level design was always what was the coolest thing about their games. When you're playing multiplayer, you have to learn the level design, the spawn points, how long it takes you to get to places. That's all part of the muscle memory of playing the game. Whereas with battle royales, it's not that there's no level design involved. It's just, I'm just not used to thinking about levels in that kind of way as big open sandboxes. So yeah, arena shooters definitely.
Yeah, and just like that added like a bit more vertical mobility, and I much prefer hit scan weapons. I didn't like the kind of like bullet drop that came with Apex. Mm-hmm. I like to like point my cursor, hit my button, and that's where I shoot.
Yeah, and that's a reasonable request. I think that's the problem with battle royales. I mean, I love a good Call of Duty Warzone, but it's the time you can spend running around a level, don't see anybody, nothing happens, and then you just die, and that's it. You're kind of like, well, that was a waste of 20 minutes of my life. Well, not a waste is a strong word, but I that like Fortnite, I got that with Apex when I played it briefly as well, Chris, and then Warzone. I think it doesn't happen to me as much in Warzone because that's probably my strongest battle royale. But yeah, that's a real. I mean, I don't have to pay to play a full blown Call of Duty, but when I actually owned Call of Duties and did the team battles and that stuff was fun as fuck. Like the Shipment. Do you remember Shipment? The level.
in like old COD, like
Old COD, like, but I think the
4?
shipment has continued in all of them so far,
Right,
or a version of.
I think that was COD 4 originally. Shipment.
That like the tiniest fucking level
Tiny
ever,
shipping
and it's
containers
just
ever.
about like you might survive 12, 13 seconds before you die, but like that intensity, you know, and it was a great way to level up. Because in
Grenades thrown from spawn just because
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not going to get a chance to do it again.
And like sometimes people would do so well without dying that they get like the 9 or 10 kills. They get the kill streaks, and you end up being like they spawn up in a helicopter just shooting down this tiny level, and like the rake of kills people would get. Yeah, I prefer that. What about you, Luke? You playing anything new or interesting, different, old?
Chris's mentioning of Halo Infinite did make me pick up the game. I only played like one game of it, but I really enjoyed it. I think I only played one because we won, and I played a great game, and I was like, yeah, I got my kick out of this. I'm done. So I carried a little capture the flag game and felt great about myself, so I turned it off.
Nice.
I don't know
Quit
if
while
that's
you're winning.
the league PTSD coming back to me. But no, I just got a lend off a friend in work gave me a lend of the Super Mario 3D All-Stars Switch title. So I've been playing Super Mario Sunshine. So I've had the Delfino Plaza music stuck in my head. I've been like humming it.
That's I don't know what age I was. We got that game on the GameCube, and kind of when it came out, and it was that thing where it was a gorgeous summer, like the year I played it, but I wanted to stay indoors and experience the Delfino Plaza summer because it's such a bright, nice, like knocking fruit off of trees.
So you traded in Real Sunshine for Mario Sunshine?
The Mario Sunshine was way better than the Real Sunshine at the time, especially. What else is on that one? So it's Super Mario Sunshine.
It's Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy.
And when you say Super Mario 64, is that like the original? Like it's not a remastered version of the Nintendo 64 version?
They're all remastered.
Oh, okay. Very good.
I don't know how remastered Galaxy is, but yeah, I haven't booted up 64. The only version I've played of Mario 64 is actually a remastered one. You're actually able to get on a bunch of Linux distros. You can get.
There's that word again.
Because
Linux is so amazing.
Don't encourage him, Luke. He's just left that behind him.
There's these little tools you can get for like installing games, and they have someone basically remade Mario 64 in some game engine. I don't know, one of the open source game engines, and you can just like log into like literally through your terminal. You can just be like da da da, and then you have Mario 64 on your whatever your Linux system is. So I have it on a bunch of like Raspberry Pis and stuff, where I'll just boot them up and I'll be like, I feel like playing Mario 64, and I'll just hit a terminal command and I'm playing Mario 64 with like remastered graphics and everything. And that's my main experience with it. I didn't grow up with Mario 64, but that's been me. Just a bit of Super Mario Sunshine, enjoying it. I really loved it. I really loved the look of it when I was a kid, but I didn't own a GameCube, so I'm going back down that rabbit hole. It's been fun.
Good.
See, I actually missed out on that entirely because I didn't like the look of it. I took one look and it was just like he's shooting a water gun. This is dumb.
I think I saw Darren playing it when we were kids, and I was like, oh, this looks really fun. The way it played, like the way the mechanics of the game worked, just like the fact that you could shoot your water
to make you jump higher, and
the way you turned made the jets go really specific ways based on like where you were going. I thought that was something about that really appealed to me when I was a kid, and I never got that I was never able to shake that out of my head.
And like people are big fans right now of like Power Washer Simulator and stuff like that. Like Super Mario Sunshine was the first of its kind. Do you know what I mean? You just went around cleaning up Delfino Plaza.
Yeah, that's true.
Do we not love Super or Power Washer Simulator?
I don't get and it's not just, it doesn't end there. There's also like Lawnmower Simulator. There's every sort of simulator out there, and it just
people just love just like really hurting themselves,
simulating life.
Yeah, simulating life and all the boring things that we do in life, you know. Because who's actually going to go and rent a power washer and do the stuff and get that much enjoyment out of it? You know,
there's something about the Power Washer Simulator that's kind of obvious appeal, right? Because it's like every inch of the dirt, and then when you clean an object, it kind of goes bling. And
It's like the endorphins are like. The
so
endorphin
satisfying.
boost is through the roof. There's an interesting mod that I saw. Maximilian Dude was playing it, and it was like you could play through the Power Washer Simulator through Final Fantasy VII Remake, and you're like cleaning the Scorpion boss. The Scorpion boss is all dirty, and you're cleaning him up and stuff like that. And you have to go into Seventh Heaven and clean up Seventh Heaven, the bar.
Just some grunt Shinra employee.
Yeah,
just a
essentially
janitor.
It's my 9 to 5 now, you know.
Shinra 5th class.
I finished. The only thing I've been playing recently was I finished Hogwarts Legacy, and I won't say too much on that because we got the review coming up. But I will say I had a really enjoyable playing session. You know, when you get like a couple of hours to play a game, and it's all very like satisfying. So it was lashing rain outside. I was curled up, chilled up with a real nice cup of tea and some biscuits and my cat. And I just did like 2-3 hours of Hogwarts Legacy to like just finish it out. Perfect timing, yeah. And it was great. Really enjoyed it. But we'll talk about that on the review. I also went to see John Wick 4 at the weekend, and I recently saw that IGN gave it a 10 out of 10, and I have no faith in IGN whatsoever.
I've been saying this for years.
Well, no, listen,
I lost faith a while ago.
They've given a lot of things 7 and 8s, which I've been like, those things aren't that good. But to give John Wick 4.
I guess it can't be nepotism, but like something along those lines where they
there's something to offend anybody.
Something that's a big name because
like Keanu Reeves is in it, so it's like, well, everyone loves Keanu Reeves, so we're not going to rate this badly. And I love Keanu Reeves, but it's literally, I think the film is maybe 2 hours 20. I don't know the exact running time. It's long enough, and I'd say there's probably in total 20 minutes of dialogue, and the other 2 hours is nothing but gunfights and fistfights, which sounds exciting in some ways. But I was sitting through that. I was like, I'm actually getting a little bit bored with this scene.
Desensitized.
He's been fighting people for like 40 minutes now, and I'm kind of like, I'm tired watching him. But there's this great scene. I won't put any spoilers out there, but there's a great scene where you might have seen it in the trailer where he has to get up these stairs to his locations at the top of these stairs, and he fights his way all the way up these stairs, like 20 minutes worth of shooting people in the head and run up these steps, and he gets to the top. And I was in my head, I was like, woohoo, okay, here we go to the finale of the film, finally, because this has been really dragging for a while. And some guy comes along and kicks him down the staircase again, and it's 200 and something stairs. But the scene is, and I'm like, they have to have known that this looks stupid, because it's, I don't know if it's Keanu Reeves or if it's stunt double, but the guy rolls down the stairs, and he rolls all the way down, but there's like these little, flat bits in between the staircases, let's say. It's a straight staircase all the way down. But you can see the stunt double throwing himself further down the steps to get all the way to the bottom. And I was in the whole audience laughed. And I was like, I hope to God they've done this on purpose, because this is like so obviously a bit. My thing would be don't go see John Wick 4. Or don't pay to go see John Wick 4 in the cinema. Okay. It's a long old film. But that's enough of that. I'll go into a bit of housekeeping before we go into our actual topic of today. But for those of you who don't know, if you're only listening to this is your first episode, and with exciting news for this week, we're doing our Hogwarts Legacy review, which will be coming out on Friday. But if you are a Patreon listener, you will get 42 hours. That's not an actual 48 hours. I could make it real specific and give it to them 42 hours earlier. 48 hours earlier, you'll have access to listen to us, the crew, talking about Hogwarts Legacy and our thoughts and opinions of that game. And that's for the cost of as little as a coffee a month for bonus episodes. You'll get them as well. And that's that. I think that's all the housekeeping I have. On to the topic at hand, fellas. Video game subculture. I think that's what we're going to call it.
Subculture. Yeah, that's kind of what we named it, I guess. I don't know if it's the best name.
I'll come up with a better title after we've done the episode. But when we say video game subculture, what are we talking about here?
I'm thinking, like, what aspects of video gaming do we absolutely love that doesn't involve necessarily playing the game itself or playing the game in the traditional way it was meant?
Fantastic.
So something that like builds upon replayability or just your general interest in gaming.
Thank heavens that's your definition, because the stuff I picked fits into that, so that's great. That's great.
yeah. Because I tried to paint some broad strokes, and who knows, maybe we could splinter some of these off into episodes themselves. But
Hey, maybe we should sit down together and research these episodes together, and then that could be the podcast. Then we'd all be on the same
just
page.
Us at the pub having pints.
That'd be great.
But I think, Chris, this is originally an idea that you kind of vocalized to the group. You kind of had a couple of ideas for gaming subculture. What's one of your kind of favorite, like when you think of that, what's the kind of thing that your go-to for fun video game subculture topic? What do you go to?
I'm going to start off with one that's not my big hitter here, but it will definitely tie into the big hitter. But I absolutely... Okay, so a little backstory. As you guys already know, I'm not much of a fan of narrative and stories when it comes to games. I just... Sometimes when I sit down and play a game, I just want to play the game. I don't want to have to read through a bunch of like dialogue and side quests or an unreasonable amount of data shards or like journal logs that you find in the world. Can't be bothered. But I am still interested in what's going on in that world and the story. And thankfully, there's always some absolute legend out there that has plunged the depths, compiled all this data, and pieced it together in a coherent story. And uploaded it to YouTube where I can listen back while I'm working or working out. So I still get that side of the story. I got to hear what's going on, maybe even some theories thrown in there. But like, I absolutely love when a real fan will also combine his passion for content creation and start making videos and content like that.
Yeah. Nice, yeah.
I love that too, yeah.
Any game in particular that you think that's been done superbly well on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like the whole Soul series kind of needed that. Or like it was dependent on fans to piece that together.
Is that because just the game was lacking in terms of internal lore? It was just a massive headache to try and figure out?
Yeah, it was speculation, and like piecing the story together was probably harder than playing the game. So you'd get a lot of like content creators that a lot of it was actually just theory crafting, but they would like a whole community grew around it. They bounce ideas off each other. And even I never submitted my own theories, but I always had some in my head too. And it was just fun to, I don't know, have a community like that where you knew everyone else was doing the same. Aside from that, like I said, I've been playing a bunch of DBD, and it's purely an online game. There's no story to it, right? It's just matchmaking for survivors against killer. Mm-hmm. And all these survivors do have like journal log, or all the survivors and killers have journal logs and like background stories and stuff. But I'm not going to go sit there and read it when I turn on the game. I'll just open up a video, and somebody has already compiled the whole history of like the clown or the doctor or something, and like how he became so messed up.
That's sick. I like that. Yeah. It kind of has the same appeal as, don't know if you guys ever watch like a channel like Alt Shift X on YouTube, but they do breakdowns of, I think they're most famous for doing breakdowns of like Game of Thrones lore and stuff like that.
Okay,
so
yeah.
Go through like an episode.
I think you might have actually put these guys on to me before, Luke. Yeah.
I think Craig talks about them before as well. Yeah. Craig's really into them.
Our dude, our guy.
And they have, it's like it kind of picks apart the episode and goes into like the backstory of it. And there's something really satisfying about having those blanks kind of filled in for you about something that you care about. Someone else has put in the work and, like you said, express themselves through content creation, and they've created something really cool.
Well, if it didn't exist, I wouldn't have the grasp on the Kingdom Hearts narrative that I do.
Exactly.
Oh, you tell
and I played that game hard. Do you know what I mean? And tried my best to listen to what was going on and played all of the games in the order they're meant to be played in, and still had like outrageous gaping big holes in the storyline. But there's some guy who would be like, "Don't worry, I got your back. This is the story." And I'm like, "Sweet, thank fuck," because I have no idea.
Yeah, and those videos are particularly important when it comes to games with really convoluted timelines, like Castlevania, or like, I guess Zelda has a timeline now. That one doesn't really make much sense. But when I went back and started playing Doom, trying to find out the history and the timeline where the games actually fit in. So
yeah,
it's nice to see that somebody else has already done that work for me in a much better delivery than I could have ever done. I would have actually hated the story by the end of trying to piece it together. Fuck.
You'll take somebody else's explanation any day. I recommend anyone listening go check out Brian David Gilbert's Polygon recap of the Legend of Zelda storyline.
Interesting. Good shit. Well, especially now that we're going to get I think there's a gameplay trailer due soon from Nintendo for Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah. And, that's due out soon as well. So that's all quite exciting.
Yes. And it is a very sincere and not funny, just serious video.
Yeah, but before you listen to him, listen to us about what we talk about. Yeah. Don't go pulling the fan base away from us, Luke. We've barely got anything as it is, No,
I love that. I love that as a little, I love anyone who does any kind of content like that around games. Like kind of the way I'm thinking about this whole episode is, people like everybody in this room plays video games. Everybody that's listening to this podcast probably plays video games as well.
If you don't, you're not welcome. That's not true. Of
you
course,
are totally welcome. Please sub to the
Patreon.
If you're listening and you don't play video games, you're not a real gamer until you sub to the Patreon. I'm sorry, that's the truth. Those are the rules.
God,
those are the rules. No, but I love when people. So everyone plays games, and there's something about taking that passion or that drive about video games to another level and it manifesting in something kind of deeper in your life, like whether it's making these really like well-made like making content around games or something like that. I think that's beautiful because it's just passion shining through. It's just taking a different form at a deeper level. I kind of I've recently been going back and watching a channel called Action Button Reviews. I think I might have shown you a bit of these videos, Darren, but it's a guy who does these very long reviews of games, and he plans out a whole series around them.
Oh, you
and it
mentioned
takes a
this
while.
guy.
Oh, I did. Yeah, sorry, I
Did
mentioned
like
it to you.
6 hours of
Yeah, so he took
some really weird game.
he took a video, one of the first ever dating sims, a Japanese game from the 90s by Konami called Tokimeki Memorial, and he did a 6-hour long review of it. And it, like, I've watched it maybe 3 times.
I just can't imagine how you could. I mean, obviously you'd have to do a lot of planning, but I think about like because we're prepping to do the Hogwarts Legacy review, and I'm kind of like, oh, putting all these bits and pieces down. And I'm like, there might be a 2-hour episode there with the help of 3 other people. And this guy's by himself, rocking out 6 hours and talking about the one thing. I'm like, holy shit!
And he's
impressive.
editing the crap out of them and everything. It's an insane feat of. Like, he's incredible. But I love stuff like that. I love when the Action Button review. A lot of people listening probably know about H Bomber Guy or Super Eye Patch Wolf, channels like that who just like really, really care about this stuff, and they bring that love and passion to a deeper level and just like express it as best they can. I think it's beautiful.
And what about for you? Like, is there anything in particular? I mean, obviously you're just talking about like deep dive content creators, like horror wise. Is there anything else in the subculture genre that tickles your fancy?
Well, for me, if you take that same thread, like the idea that it's something you love doing and you take it to like its most extreme level, like you keep leaning into it, you might have something like fan art comes through or fan fiction around stuff like that comes through. And then if you keep running with that, I think on the gaming side of things, people obsess over these games and they try and get them perfect, and you have stuff like speed running coming through, or they turn playing video games into a job through esports, like competitive gaming. That's
but what I found out was quite mad about the e-gaming thing. I think I watched there's like a small excuse me, there's a small documentary, I think it was on Netflix that I watched, or maybe even on YouTube, but the lifespan of a professional e-gamer for likes of League of Legends is so short. Like, you start when you're like 15, 16, 17, whatever. By the time people are like 23, 24, they're done. They're burnt out. They're done.
They're old people. They've old people reflexes.
Don't have reflexes, yeah.
And I'm like, holy moly. Because the money's crazy.
Maybe.
Yeah. So esports would be kind of where you're, I mean, you like to just keeping your eye out for them.
It doesn't matter how far away I get removed from my abusive relationship with League of Legends. Every year when the World Championships come on, I have to watch them. They're
oh really
great. Oh yeah, man.
But I think that's
so
different.
Good.
That's different to like. I mean, you're watching like a final with like the people at the absolute tip of the iceberg when it comes to their game. You don't have to sit there and listen through all the toxic wannabe professionals, which is the nice thing.
That's it. And these weirdly powerful narratives emerge. What was it at the last World Championships? It was Faker is like known. Have you heard of Faker?
Yeah, I know Faker.
He was a big game when okay, so that's really surprising. Everyone has heard of Faker because that's how prolific he is. You guys don't play League of Legends, you don't follow, but you know Faker. He's the GOAT, and he still plays, for the same team. And they made it to the finals this year again, and they were an amazing team. The team is basically Faker and then 4 other really young, talented guys who do whatever Faker tells them to do. And they're just a machine. Like, they could not be beaten. They were playing through, and Faker was finally going to get his, like, fucking 4th World Championship or something. Like, he's insanely good. Insane record. And along the way, there was another lower-seeded Korean team came through. Still, like, an amazing team on the world stage, but definitely not considered at the same time.
The underdog, as we'd like to call them.
Definitely the underdog from Korea. Now, Korea were having a great year, so they're definitely not the underdog across the competition. But their AD carry, which is one of the roles on the team, is a player called Deft. I'm pretty sure Deft used to play with Faker once upon a time, ages ago, and kind of had his whole own story where he got switched onto teams and he fallen off for a really long time. And I'm not sure if Deft had actually originally won a world championship, but Faker had. So Deft and Faker both went to the same secondary school together. Were both in the same class in high school together, and then both went off into esports and did their own thing and kind of floated around the scene. So they went from the same classroom together. Deft's team ended up making it to the World Championship final. So the final was Deft versus Faker, and the world was going nuts for it. And Deft's team, in spite of being the underdogs, won the series, and it was
gotta love an underdog story.
Oh, hype! It was amazing. And Deft, who, again, I'm pretty sure I'm not 100% sure if this is right. I don't think he'd won a world championship before, but him winning that at like against Faker, like beating the greatest of all time, and like winning his first world championship on the stage, he was so happy. It was like a life
Well, he just
goal.
won a couple of $100,000, I'd say. With those,
he'd won a shitload of money.
Yeah,
but it was like the fact that he could call himself the best in the world then, and that he had beaten the ultimate opponent, and it was just
and his
great.
rival.
These narratives come out all the time. That's what makes esports so fucking exciting to watch. Like, that stuff is great. I love it. It gets me so hype.
I remember watching the history of Hungry Box's career, just destroying everyone with
Juan?
Jigglypuff and Smash
Yeah.
Bros.
He's the Smash guy, isn't he? Yeah, Hungry Box. Yeah. I only know him from watching the reaction videos of Sora being announced for Smash. That's the only reason I know Hungry Box. Yeah. Oh, what a dude. I think for me, when we said kind of subculture and the things that kind of happen outside of gaming, one of the first things that came to mind was an old memory I had of Twitch plays Pokemon Red.
Twitch plays,
And like, so I had this memory of it, and I like took part. It was back in 2014, like February 2014 is when it kicked off, and it was an Australian programmer who was like, "I want to try a social experiment. I'm going to put stream Pokemon Red on my Twitch channel, but I'm not going to play it. The viewers are going to play it. So there's a little comment box section where you can type in up, down, left, right, A, B, start, whatever, all the controls of a Game Boy." And it would go in order of that the buttons were input into the comment section was how the game would
I thought
play.
it was based on votes.
Oh no, the votes came later.
Oh, okay. The first one was
So when it started off, so this is the thing, and I was like, I have this memory of it from 2014, and the small section of it that I played for a couple hours, and then I rewatched videos, like videos of people talking about the whole thing, and I was just like, oh my god, I need to, like, it's insane. So basically, they start off, this guy's day one, it's not being streamed or recorded properly, so there's no footage of like the first day, and the guy gets like, they pick a like the community, the hive mind as they called it, picked a Charmander, named it Abby. But they didn't name it Abby, they named it like AB why, like, and all that, because like it was just nothing but input. So like the community around that was always coming up with names for these characters. They had like a Charmander called Abby. They picked up a Pidgey that they didn't name, and this Pidgey ended up becoming a Pidgeot, and they called it Bird Jesus, and they had all this. Guys, it gets insane. So like, and the reason I think of like this is my subculture thing was because it's a community of people, and they're playing a game in a very different way. It's like people just hop onto a stream, and I thought it was this weird thing where I only played it for like 4 or 5 hours. We were going through what was called the spinning hell, which was in the power plant where you fight Giovanni. It has all the arrow platforms, which when you have a hive mind is insane, impossible. So we went around it for ages, and this is where democracy was introduced, right? So basically, and it's just crazy how like the lore comes up with this, because they called what was happening anarchy, because it was essentially anarchy. There was just people putting in commands, and Red was running around doing whatever the fuck all the commands were, which you could get through most of the stuff by doing that. But when it came to something like the power plant, people were like, I don't know if we can actually get through this part of the game with democracy. So they went around, failed at loads of times, and the day ended. So the stream stopped, and everyone had to wait until the next day when the guy put the stream back live. But when he put it back live the next day, there was a new thing called democracy, whereby a bunch of commands would come up on screen, and people would have 20 seconds to vote on which command they wanted to be input next.
Format I remember.
So this is how I had played it. I only played it with democracy, so I didn't know about the anarchy thing. So I came on, and I was like, oh yes, of course I'll vote for left, because we need to go left, all that kind of stuff. So to me, it was quite simple, and then we beat Giovanni. And the funny thing was, they had a character, they caught this Rat-a-tat that they called Dig Rat, because all he ever did was use Dig at the most inopportune moments. So there we were, we defeated Giovanni, and there's the Sylph Scope, like right beside him, the little Pokeball thing, and instead of picking it up, we used Dig Rat to dig us out of the power plant. And it was that thing where, because I never, that was my kind of one and only experience with Twitch. I've never really been on Twitch before that or since. And I was on a kind of, type around, but the comments were great. Like, it was like all of us were in this together, and like we saw, Ash or Red like doing that animation to dig out of the power plant, and the comment went mad, be like, no, fuck no, we've been 4 hours it took us to get here, like people losing it, Yeah. But the interesting thing was democracy allowed us to get that, and then afterwards when we got out, people were like, okay, enough of this democracy. So along came what was known as the Start 9 protests. And I love this. The lore is amazing. So this is like so people started being like, okay, we're done with democracy. We want anarchy back.
Did you call them the Start 9?
The Start 9 protests. So what people did was everyone put in the input Start 9, which basically paused and unpaused the menu 9 times. And people kept voting for that. So that was like known as the Start 9 protest, and it meant that the stream, apart from being paused and unpaused, was inactive for 18 minutes, because people were like, no, we're not moving until we get anarchy back. So then the stream left, and lo and behold, the guy took the stream offline, puts it back online with this thing where people can, while they're commenting about where they want to go, they can then add in a vote for democracy or anarchy, and it was this bar at the top to be like, are people want to be more democratic, or do people want to be like anarchy? And so they had this whole thing, and what was amazing about it, I don't know if you guys remember, at the very beginning of the game, you get to choose 2 fossils, a helix fossil or a dome fossil, and the helix is ammonite or amostar, whatever it is, and the dome is kabuto, kabutops. And people picked the helix fossil, and the lore around that was like, oh, the old god, he's been fossilized or whatever else, the helix god or whatever. And he ended up being like this, I suppose, not spokesperson, but the god of anarchy. So like Helix was the god of anarchy. And as the game went on, then like they needed a water Pokemon later on to cross the ocean to get to Cinnabar to fight Blaine, thank you. And they were like, okay, well, we have an Eevee. Let's go to the shop in whatever town it is, to the vending machine, and let's get ourselves a Water Stone, because Vaporeon is Eevee's strongest evolution, and that's a great Pokemon to get Surf. So with Eevee, earlier on in the game, they tried to put Eevee in a PC box to hold on to Eevee until they could do this. But putting Pokemon in the PC box was like, it was like taking life into like risky hands, because when you're doing that, it's so easy to release Pokemon.
That's right, yeah.
And when they were putting Eevee into the box, they accidentally released Abby, who is now a Charmeleon, and this other Rattata, not Digrat, but this other Rattata that they liked called Jay Leno.
Oh yeah, I remember.
So they released Charmeleon, Abby, and then this Pokemon Jay Leno. So all they were left with, they were like, "Fuck, well, we hate Eevee because Eevee has cost us our Charmeleon." Later on, they're like, "Okay, we're going to get Eevee out. We're going to give her the Water Stone, and she's going to be a Vaporeon." And people accidentally spent all the money on 4 lemonades and a Firestone. So they had no Water Stone.
Great.
So they had this Firestone, and Flareon is like the worst evolution of an Eevee. So they make the Eevee a Flareon, and Flareon becomes the face of democracy. So it's like the Helix versus the thing. So basically, anyway, I love that thing so much because they went through and they finished the game, and I hopped onto the stream when they were going for Victory Road. Now, I didn't see them actually win it, but I hopped on for a bit when they were going through Victory Road, and they never got to Blue, but they're playing it through enough times, and I was like, Bird Jesus is fucking unbelievable, because like Bird Jesus was like levels.
Bird Jesus always was, though. Like Pidgeot was always one of my last
such a good Pokemon to have, like
my end game team.
So they had this whole thing where they weren't winning at the Elite Four. They're like, okay, we need to go and grind. But they went back to with the Helix Fossil. They magically, thankfully, took the Helix Fossil out of the PC without losing any more Pokemon. Managed to get it to the guy who would let it evolve or get it out of the fossil. So they had Helix, the god, and they just grinded with Helix until they could evolve Helix into an Amostar, or an Ammonite into an Amostar. And then the god itself was on the team, and apparently the Amostar had amazing little fights at the end towards the finishes. But the community since then has been amazing. I checked on updates. I was like, what's happened since?
They've done the entire Pokemon series now.
Yes, but the viewership never got to the numbers that it had for Red, unfortunately. But I went to check on updates about Twitch plays Pokemon Red. What anything updated since then? There was a legitimate registered religion following the Helix, like the Helix Fossil. And I have a screen. I have a screenshot of the actual definition of the religion. Where is it here? The Church of Helix, also known as Helixism, is a religious affiliation primarily focused around worship of the Helix Fossil, or after its revival, Helix himself, and the concept of anarchy. It is typically considered in contrast to and opposing the Dome Fossil and democracy, or as Helix, or as Helix followers tend to refer to, Domecracy. But it's it's a legitimately registered religion now.
That's
Helixism.
amazing.
And I was like, it's funny to be a small part of that, just to be there for 15.
Yeah.
Well, I was there for 3 hours while I was working on a college project or whatever. But that's what, I wasn't even really playing that game. But all of this came from a video game from, the late 90s? 1998 is Pokemon, 1997, 98?
Yeah, that's the thing about video games, is their impact is so long lasting. It runs so deep, especially games that you played when you were a kid, like Red version or Blue version or whatever. Yeah, that shit just carries. And when these new systems come out,
that's so funny. And they went there were spin-offs too, then because somebody also did
telling Darren about Fish plays Pokemon.
No, they did Twitch plays Dark Souls, which I don't even know. They beat it. It took them 46 days. I don't even know how that's possible, because like you said, they're just entering commands, so I don't even know how that works with an action oriented game.
Yes,
but they also did, and this one's probably my favorite, Twitch installs Arch Linux.
Oh yeah.
That was a fucking train wreck. It was actually pretty quick. It was probably quicker than I installed Arch Linux, to be perfectly honest.
That's saying something about you, Chris.
Knowing at any moment somebody could just like do a command that just erases everything, like if that got voted in.
Yeah. That bricks the computer.
Yeah. It is insane that they managed to that it can never be completed in that format. I think it took them 17 days to finish Pokemon. And what's interesting, they had like some of the days were named. And they went through the Safari Zone at one point because you have to get surf from one of the buildings in the Safari Zone. And that they caught like 13 Pokemon while they were in there, got surf. It was all great. But then on the Sunday, like the Sunday before they actually finished playing through the game, it was termed Bloody Sunday. Because I think they went in to get the Helix fossil out of the computer and released like 11 Pokemon, like by accident. That they never. It was known as Bloody Sunday, like.
It was a sacrifice for the Helix god.
But that's where all the lore comes from. I love that like people were and like the video I was watching to kind of catch myself up on everything that happened. The fan art is unbelievable.
Oh, I've seen some of the fan art. The fan art's
because you have like the fan art has like Ammonite or the Helix fossil like as a godlike figure in this one with like Bird Jesus and like the speaker which was like Zapdos and like Charmeleon or Charm like whatever he was released, but he was known as the protector. So all the Pokemon that got released, the lore was that the Charmander that they released early on in the game was protecting them, as all these fan art of all these Pokemon surrounded by Charmeleon's tail for like a fire in the wilderness. I was like, this is insane,
Yeah, that's class. That's beautiful. You just love seeing the passion run so deep long after.
So much so that they have a legitimate religion now.
And I don't know if you caught that, Chris, but Fish plays Pokemon was a big one for a while.
Fish plays was it like a fish swimming around like pointing at something somehow?
Yeah, like the fish's tank was divided up into different inputs, and so if the fish swam here, it would input up. I did
see that. Yeah, and then like the stream, like the they actually had a video like right on him in the fishbowl.
Yeah, I think the fish died before they beat him.
Oh no, poor guy.
But died for the cause.
That kind of reminds me. There's a girl that used to play Dark Souls and like Bloodborne and all those games on a DDR pad.
Oh yeah, is she not still? Did she not do?
Oh, she might still be, but she has a video out there, a couple videos where she has a pet bunny too, and she's actually killed a few bosses, like just putting her bunny on the DDR pad and like.
I'm gonna let you do this.
I could have sworn you were gonna say she's actually killed a few bunnies.
no, sorry. She put her bunny on the pad and just kind of like made it follow her hand around. And, like, to issue the commands and ended up killing the boss with a bunny.
I'm so bad at video games. Like, I mean, if there's rabbits out there that are doing it on Dance Dance Revolution, man, so I can't even get past some stuff.
Beat Dark Souls. Have you played any of the Souls games?
I played Bloodborne, but didn't. It's just not my that real kind of dark medieval setting is not my jam. I don't like that atmosphere in games.
Bloodborne wasn't even really. It was like Gothic Victoria.
Sorry, that's what I mean. Like the Gothic, the real kind of like stark castles and all that kind of stuff, which is a pity because I had a roommate when I was in New Zealand, and this guy loved Punishment. Like he would put it on the hardest difficulty, and I'd watch him play through it, and he was like, "Oh, you should have a go. You should have a go." And maybe because I was just watching him, who was incredibly good at it, but still dying a lot. I was like, what's the point? Like, if that's the level you have to get to actually get through the game, it's not a thing I want to get involved with. It's not for me.
Be a bit of a glutton for punishment sometimes.
Yes,
and I'm trying to move away from that in my gaming of late.
Not me, man.
Playing less Souls.
I'll go back and play Contra. I have no.
Chris, you playing with a Velcro pad over there? There it is.
Yeah, that was a bad idea. I was like,
Velcro noise, pick it up. There we go. Have you got anything else, Chris, for gaming subculture that?
Well, the one that kind of sparked this whole idea of mine. I just didn't think we could fill out the whole 40 minutes to an hour that we do these podcasts for. But I absolutely love the speedrunning community. Yeah. And how much effort these guys put in to shave like just seconds off of their, not even the world record, but their own personal best. And they just like pop off. And this is also why I kind of tied it in with content creation, is because one of my favorite creators is a guy named Summoning Salt. And he does these history of videos, like history of Mario 3 speedrunning, history of something else. He even has a half hour of the history of Mario Kart 64's Choco Mountain Racetrack. Like half an hour video just covering the speed run
track
over the years, for where it goes from like, I don't know, let's say like 12 minutes all the way down to like 10 seconds, which is it's a wild ride. It's definitely worth the watch. But yeah, I never dipped my toes too much into speedrunning, despite like always watching the videos on YouTube. But
Yeah,
I guess I just, maybe I'm not that much of a glutton for punishment, because these guys play.
I don't think. The
dedication is incredible.
I get the idea that it would be a glutton for punishment thing, but I think there's something more to it as well. I think a lot of the games that people do specialize in and do pick out for speedrunning are ones, they're their comfort games. Like they're their games, they're their happy place games. Like I haven't done any speedrunning, but I could pretty quickly pick out a few games that I would speedrun if I was going to, because one of them would be Jak and Daxter would definitely be one.
Yeah.
Spyro has a cool speedrunning community around it, like the original Spyro the Dragon, because they're games that I spent so much time with as a kid, and I'm so familiar with the mechanics already that if I were to encounter like things, and spending time in those games brings back so many fun memories. Like the music and the visuals just remind me of these good feelings when I was a kid. I can totally see that being a really big part of it, that people like come across these games when they're in their formative years and they have all these like floods of music and stuff, and the idea of just spending their whole day playing Mario 64 or something like that is all they want to do, and they feel great every time that they, and there's also the punishment side where they're trying to grind and get better, where they get to see like how they place in the world, like how much does their passion for Mario 64 rate against other people's, and like their dedication and stuff like that.
And speaking of Mario 64 as an example, I've seen videos of people who do have the records, or they're up there with the quickest speed runs for that game, and it's, I don't even know how they figured out the glitches like that. I think there's the staircase that leads you to the star door to go to Bowser's level, and you like do a back jump, like, and you just like
a few times, and
you
then
hop
you go
up
right
the
through
stairs.
the wall,
Like, I'm like, who is the person that figured that out? And like figured it out to say that this legitimately exists and is a bug that can be exploited for this reason, you know?
Zelda is riddled, like Zelda Ocarina of Time is riddled with them. I think it's called arbitrary code execution.
Right, okay.
So yeah,
Just
the
inputs.
idea is, like everything that you do in the game kind of boils down to some high level machine language that's not human readable, right?
Yes.
But if you do a certain thing, like navigate through a menu and move your cursor over to this item, then close the menu and like jump backwards through this door, it'll boil down to like, let's say binary code. I don't think it's quite binary, but something like along those lines. And the game will register, like know that you're going through a door, see that sequence of inputs, that code, and suddenly go, hey, that means you're in Bowser's castle, and then just send you to Ganon's castle, because we're talking about Zelda. But the fact that somebody figures this out doesn't make sense to me. Like, I can't even really, like, when somebody explains it to me, I can't even understand it.
But it's an interesting way that people use their brains when it comes to talking about video, or like how different people play different video games. Like if I come across a bug or a glitch, I'm like, there's a bug or a glitch, I'm going to restart or whatever else. But someone's like, how the fuck do I turn this to my advantage? I never think like that, you know?
I think it's, so some of it comes from a curiosity to understand, or want to understand. There was one speedrun I watched today, actually. It was one of the Games Done Quick speed runs.
I love those guys.
Oh my god, GDQ is so fucking cool. But one guy, Shenanigans, did a playthrough of Pokemon. I think it's Pokemon Blue version or something, where and Pokemon's a great example of what you were talking about, the arbitrary input thing.
Oh yeah, it's
because it's
catch
just
a Gengar in like Viridian Forest or something. Just
like you're throwing a Pokeball at an Onix, and then he goes, yeah, when I catch this, it's going to be a Zubat. And it's because the inputs that he's put in has written certain values to certain memory slots in the game's cartridge, and it's all memory slot manipulation, and like manipulating those those 255 possible like characters that can go into each one of those slots, or 256 and go into each one of those possible slots, and just doing that and like controlling the game. And this guy goes through the whole game, and it's the funniest thing, because he'll be he's a funny guy as well, like he has a great sense of humor for explaining it to people. And he's like, yeah, we're just going to go up to this, I'd like to get the 3 starters, so if I do this and this, I'll just walk up to this sign, and it's really lucky that there's 3 EVs in that sign. That's great. I'll just take those 3 EVs, and that's my 3 evolutions for the game. And the goal of the playthrough is to catch all 151 Pokemon. Actually 152, because he gets missing now as well. And he's just through his inputs on the Game Boy, he's controlling the memory values and stuff. and just editing all the items, and it's insane to watch. The whole screen glitches out and everything, but he's like, yeah, and then I'm going to go here, and then this is going to do this.
And it's funny because, you know, when I was younger playing that game, the most I ever got into like manipulation, and it's not even manipulation. I remember someone in the schoolyard saying, "Oh, if you hold down A and B while the Pokeball's catching the Pokemon, it's an automatic catch."
Yeah.
Never worked, but that was the most I ever got. To be like, "All right, game, prepare to be manipulated."
Ours was up in A. That was our rule.
Oh, ours was down in B. Yeah.
Yeah. None of it worked.
Well, we did have the missing no glitch. Like we all knew that.
Oh yeah. So I mean, yeah, that one worked. In fairness, yeah, the ultimate, yeah, get a million of whatever items you wanted. Yeah.
Thing. But that was doing exactly that. Like it was doing a certain sequence of events, putting in a certain sequence of inputs.
Can you remember? Remember how to get?
No. I remember you start off in this whatever the second city is a Viridian city.
You go to the guy who teaches you how to catch a Weedle.
Yep.
And then you talk to him. You immediately fly then, I think, to Cinnabar Island, do a direct walk across and surf up and down the east coast of Cinnabar
Are there
Island.
not more steps in between those two?
I mean, let us know at the Gift of Gaming podcast at gmail.com.
Remind
Or
us.
tweet
There's
us
the plug.
at Gift of Gaming Pod and let us know if that's how you catch Missing No. Hang on, Missing No is just missing number, right? Because that was...
Missing number, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because it was a missing value in the Pokedex.
There you go.
Yeah. But that was all that was. It was manipulating the stored memory values in the game just by using inputs. And this guy, Shenanigans, in his GDQ thing, takes that to the absolute extreme where he just walks through the game and catches whatever he wants to catch. And it's so fucking cool. It's so sick. Love that stuff.
I think moving on from... Like, I mean, because the things that I love, like in Subculture, is the community stuff. And what I really enjoyed was when I first started playing Animal Crossing, and that at the beginning of lockdowns and the pandemic, that was such a nice thing to have. And at the same time, we kind of had like, you know, GameStop stocks. Where like there was a whole community driving the
Diamond
game.
Hands or whatever,
like,
hold the
to the
line.
moon and
Yeah.
Diamond Hands, all that type of stuff. Like, apes together strong, all that type of stuff. What was a weird thing about that was
my buddy made a ton of money off that.
a lot of people did. A lot of people lost some money as well. It was a dangerous old game. It's GameStop? Yeah, all right, yeah. I'll let myself out. But I was playing Animal Crossing, and at the time, I was getting to know the characters going through the game, and I was introduced to this. I think her name's Maisie. I can't remember, but she was like, "Hey, if you want to buy." Now, this is my first Animal Crossing game, so I had no prior experience that this was a legitimate thing that existed. But there's a Maisie who you can talk to, and you can buy and sell turnips to her. But you buy them at a certain price and sell them at another certain price, a lot like stocks, essentially, like the turnip stock. But there's this whole community that like was born of that, where you could go onto like there was a website created. I went onto Reddit being like, hey, any tips on how I can maximize my profits from my turnips? People are like, oh, dude, go to this website. Go to this website, and like you'll see that you can just go on and people give their codes. They'll wake up, they'll start their island, they'll talk to Maisie and be like, yeah, how much you selling turnips for? And it could be nothing, or it could be like, yeah, each turnip is like 400. Whatever the currency was, and people would go on and they'd set up their island on this website, be like, here's the invite code, if you want to come in, you're gonna have to pay me 100,000 whatever a trip, or I want these kind of tickets or this furniture. Like, people wanted their stuff. I'll never forget my first island that I go to. So when you go to an island, you have this cool little cutscene of like the plane flying over that person's island as you're coming into land. And there was 3 people waving up at me, and I thought, oh, this island was only meant to kind of have like the one person. But this person had hired 2. It was the funniest thing. Had hired 2 of their friends, and you can like customize your character. So they had shades and like suits on.
Security?
They were security.
Oh my God.
To make sure you paid before you could go and talk to Maisie to sell your turnips at that price.
Or they like block a path?
They block a path so you can't get by them. And they'd wait there until you paid. And it was insane. But it got to a point where I was obsessed with like making money, because I was like, oh, I'd love to have like tons of money so I can, edit my island whatever
Have
I
my
wanted
own
to.
security.
But I used to go on it because it was Sunday was the day that Maisie would come to the island, and I used to manipulate the time on my Switch to be like every day Sunday, and I would check every time because it randomized the number that Maisie would sell turnips for on your island. And I went on one time and Maisie was selling them for like 650 something, which was insane money. And I put it up onto this thing, and it has a queue, and I put max 50 people in the queue, like who's going to come. I left my Switch on for like 3-4 hours just there beside me while I was working away from home. And I kept getting bings on my phone and from the website of people now coming to the island when the people leaving and people dropping bags of money at my feet to a point where I was like, I thought I was going to be like the real kind person, like, yeah, sure, come in for free, whatever else. Me a month later was like, yo, bitch, pay the money or else you're going to get
Where's
My boys will rough you up.
I've got like hired goons now.
And they're like
you know?
2 dogs. they're going
There was this whole subculture that existed that was literally trading stocks. People trying to find like, I got to go to this island at the good price and sell and buy. You know, for turnips for Animal Crossing, it was outrageous.
Yeah, man. Turnip Mafia would be a sick name for a band.
Turnip
by the
Mafia
way.
is pretty good. Yeah. God, Animal Crossing seems like such a weird little game.
Yeah, never played it. But
No, I'm afraid of I don't need a second life.
me too.
Man.
I'm also afraid.
Yeah.
It was perfect it really was, because I have zero interest in going back to it now, but it was perfect during the pandemic in that like you would go and there's only so many things you could do in a day before it takes a day or two to reset, like cutting down a tree or whatever else. But it was so satisfying during the pandemic to wake up, and I think I mentioned it before, like pandemic was a pretty shitty time for most people, all people I'd say. But I remember waking up and be like, oh God, I've got 8 hours of working from home and I'm scared of everything. And I'd finish work and I'd turn on Animal Crossing and it'd be like, ba, ba, da, da, and I would let out this big sigh being like, everything's okay. And then it'd be like, bye, sell on my turnips.
The stress goes. Wasn't Elijah Wood in on that action?
Yeah, so Elijah Wood was there was a cool, I'm a big fan of Kind of Funny, the guys. And one of the guys that kind of special guest stars for them during the pandemic, he does writing for, I think he did like the script or the screenplay for Rogue One and stuff like that. Really cool guy. But he's big into games.
Gary Whitta.
Gary Whitta is the guy's name, yeah. And he did a thing called Animal Talking. And he set up the basement in his house in Animal Crossing to look like a studio. So it had like a presenter's desk, a couch, and in the front there was all these cameras. And so it looked like a studio thing. And he actually contacted some celebrities that he knew out in the ether were big fans of Animal Crossing and would invite their character. So Elijah Wood's Animal Crossing character came to Gary Whitta's island, went into his house, sat down on the couch, and then he started a live stream, like introducing. But it was like them just on Animal Crossing, and he was interviewing Elijah Wood in the whole format of Animal
really
Crossing.
Oh, man.
Selena Gomez was on it as well. It was insane.
No way.
Like,
That's so
I was
cool.
like, would it be if we actually had like, you know how a lot of podcasts these days also have like the vidcasts that go along with it?
Yeah.
If we had a bunch of like regular, normal episodes, and then one time we're just like Animal Crossing characters.
Your video
yeah,
game
it'd be
characters,
so
like-
good. Or like puppets, like they have in
Amazing.
Community and
Yeah,
stuff like that. All of us as
exactly.
puppets on it. Yeah, that kind of stuff was mental though, and that's the kind of gaming subculture that I can get my hands on. I'm like, that stuff's great. Like, while we can't see each other, no problem. Let's just do a professionally done. And like, they weren't taking the piss either. Like Gary Whitta was asking Elijah Wood like legitimate questions about upcoming this, that, and the other, like a really professionally done interview thing. And same with Selena Gomez and her upcoming album, all that kind of stuff. And he even had like a sound guy. So we had a sound guy making sure that everything was working, but the sound guy's character was in the studio, and the sound guy character would often run across and like pretend to fix up a camera or the soundboard. I was like, this shit's amazing. But I used to wait. I was like, I can't wait till the next Animal Talking or whatever the show was called. I'd be there on Twitch ready to watch Gary Whitta's stream to see what guest he had on. Went on for weeks, every Sunday for weeks. He interviewed celebrities.
That's so
sick.
dope.
I love that.
Well, fellas, I think that's a couple. I mean, I've got a couple other things here, but let's not waste another episode.
Yeah, well, I mean, we need post-show content, so
That's true.
there we go.
And for those of you who want to listen to our post show, you need to hit up patreon.com/thegiftofgaming and sign on to our tier there, where you'll get bonus episodes, post shows that we do after every week, and other episodes early, like the Hogwarts Legacy review coming this week.
For the cost of a coffee.
For the cost of coffee a month, you're damn right.
And
Luke.
it's legit. I was joking about we need content. We're totally prepared for
Every single time.
post show every time. Yeah, we definitely
It's
know.
not that 2 weeks ago I had to do a post show all by myself because I was so poorly prepared that no one was available to do a post show with me, and that wasn't a train crash at all.
The post show is fun.
I still love how the episode you put up was pandemic games for your solo post show.
So alone, Chris. I'm so alone.
That was to be sincere about it though. The post show does have I love the feel of the post show whenever I'm on it. Like it's not that these podcasts are
Feel
like
like work.
super overproduced or anything, but the post show is like kind of turn off our brains and we're just ourselves for a little bit. So if you want that little
But if you want-
social connection,
Yeah, if you want to get
What's
in on
your
that,
favorite color?
the end.
it's like a 4-hour long conversation.
But yeah, so if you want to get involved with that or hit up things early like reviews and stuff like that, you go down to our Patreon, patreon.com/thegiftofgaming. And if you want to join the conversation, you can tweet us at giftofgamingpod or email us at thegiftofgamingpodcast@gmail.com. Luke,
Woo!
Chris,
Yo.
this has been great. Thanks very much for your input on Subculture. I still don't really understand what that is, but I think we talked about something today at least, which is great. It's been great having you on the show. To our listeners out there, thanks again for listening. Thanks again for supporting. And if you do enjoy the show, it would mean so much to us here that if you could just tell at least one person, one of your pals who also likes video games, say, hey, these guys aren't morons, and you should listen to them a little bit. That'd
Not
be
all
great.
of them, at least. Dude.
No.
You don't have to tell them the first page. Just tell them to listen.
Yeah, tell them it's worth listening to. That'd be great. Guys, thanks so much for popping onto the show. Catch you for the post show next. And to our listeners, it's been great. Luke, thank you very much. Chris, thank you very much.
See ya.
See
and
ya.
keep enjoying the
Ciao,
gift.
bye-bye.
That is gaming. Peace out.